Ladies and gentlemen, it is Saturday night, April 16th, 2022. Welcome to a very special episode of the Wise Guys Sports Show for the first time ever right here on the JC24 Sports Note channel. And there's a reason for that. I'm actually going to bring in my partner, Mike Martinez. Mike, how the hell are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. I can't wait.
We have not been able to do this since we can't even really count the draft show, but we have not done a Wise Guys show because of other things. Last month, things got pushed back. I got sick for a couple of weeks. It was not COVID, thankfully, although it mimicked the hell out of it. But Mike, would you like to explain why we are on my channel tonight?
Because mine is made for kids and we can drop F-bombs on yours.
Exactly. So tonight's episode, gloves are off.
I was wondering why you put that on during pre-show.
Uncut, uncensored. And you know what? It's actually, I had a killer workout today. I am actually down 15 pounds in the last 6 weeks. That glove is still wet. So
yeah, right?
Yeah. It's so we're going to cover
hold on, you're working out, getting endorphins, and I'm drinking coffee at 8:45 at night.
Yeah, I got the caffeine going too.
Dude, I've been up since 5 o'clock.
Yeah, I think I was
not
up
on purpose.
Yeah, I think I was up a little after 6:30 when the dumpsters were taking out the fucking trash earlier. There's one.
Oh, I hate that shit.
Yeah, it's there's our first F-bomb of the night, but yeah, it's like they're literally right outside my my door, right outside my back window, probably about 50 feet from my window, and I'm on the 3rd floor. They don't have a trash chute at my place. People were clogging it so much, and now everything's in a dumpster. So you hear 2 of them getting slammed to the fucking ground.
No bueno.
Yep. So, and we are not going to put a counter on the number of F-bombs or profanities, because if that were the case, first of all, we break it. And now you're really starting to see behind the scenes of what I'm really like and why I have to watch my mouth on Mike's channel.
Listen, I got trucker mouth too, dude.
That is true. We've been friends for almost 30 years.
We're fucking old.
I'll be 44 next month, dude.
Listen, I'm 43, be 44 in January. I just told you, look how old I feel. Like I told you, Bobby turned 1 on Monday, and Monday night I ordered Zachary's cap and gown. Don't come at me with old, Jay.
God, where do we go from here?
I know where we can go from here.
We're gonna bury the lead a little bit. We're gonna bury the lead on that a little bit. I know what we're gonna talk about tonight. We're gonna talk. Normally, we don't lay out the format for you guys. I'm actually changing things up just a little bit here tonight. We're definitely going to talk some Cleveland Browns. We're going to talk to Sean Watson because we have not been able to go into this since the trade went down several weeks ago. We're going to talk the Cleveland Cavaliers. We're going to talk a little bit of baseball. We're going to talk the NFL draft coming up in 10 days from now, and the fact that our draft show on Mike's channel did not age well at fucking all. And at the very end of the show, we've got a couple of very, very special tributes. Mike's got one, and I've got one here for you.
And listen, in my defense for the draft show, no one told the NFL to go out of their fucking mind.
That is very, very true. Oh man, there's some of the numbers that I read, and as you guys can actually see with the background there's a little bit of production value, and you guys are actually going to get some overlays and some graphics coming up here in a little bit. But I think the good place to start is something sorry, with the profanity and the filters off and everything, we just got to rip the Band-Aid off and we got to actually come out swinging here. Mike.
Yeah, I agree with you, especially.
How did the Cavaliers, how did this all go so wrong at the end for the Cavaliers?
Well, you got to remember something. The NBA season's 82 games long, and the Cavaliers had 0 injury issues for the first 75. They really played the maybe 9/10 of that season with no injuries and no issues like that. But then you lose outside of Colin Sexton. Just throw that out there.
3 games into the year, you lose your star. Yeah.
Exactly. But then you lose Karis LeVert after the trade. You lose Lauri Markkanen. You lose Jared Allen, who his first game back was last night. He didn't play too bad. And Markkanen was on fire in the first half. So here's what happened. The deepest roster that the Cleveland Cavaliers have had since the pre-LeBron days, they ran out of gas. They ran out of gas on both ends of the floor. Trae Young's a piece of garbage. I cannot stand him. Although when he taunts the Knicks fans, it makes me laugh. But they just ran out of gas, Jim. And the one thing I can say, and I think you agree with me on this is a young team. This is a young team with a good core that is locked up and will be locked up once they sign Darius Garland to his max contract. I love Markkanen. I love Dylan Windler. I love the rebirth of Kevin Love. I love Jared Allen. And you go back farther with the Cavaliers than I do, but I go back to the Brevin Knight, Bobby Sura, tail end of Mark Price, first down at the arena, Cleveland Cavaliers. So I remember Sean Kemp trying to dunk every time he got the ball because he was garbage.
Here's the funny thing to jump in now that you actually brought him up. The last time the Cavs made the playoffs without a guy named LeBron James on their roster was the first year of Sean Kemp, a.k.a. the patron saint of illegitimate children.
I don't know. Nick Cannon's giving him a run for his money.
God damn it.
Listen, man, you took the gloves off. Shots are fired left, right, and center now.
Yeah. This was a team that was predicted to win 25, maybe 30 games. They won 44. They went 44-38 with this roster. They were as high as second in the Eastern Conference just before the All-Star break. And then let me lay this out because the graphic that I had somehow, some way got deleted about 10 minutes before we went live. Lauri Markkanen, Jared Allen, Colin Sexton, Darius Garland, Ricky Rubio, Rajon Rondo, Karis LeVert. 8 players missed at least 3 weeks with injuries this season.
How do you survive that?
Exactly.
That's the question. That's the question. And for everybody, and I'm waiting for Stephen A to trash them because I hate him. That son of a bitch. Oh, you took the gloves off. I'm going to hit people hard tonight, man. Hey, listen, this is a talented, deep roster. Am I upset that they blew a 10-point halftime lead last night? Absolutely. Absolutely, I am. You can't, especially in your own house. You just can't do that.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It happened.
The thing is also you can never count Trae Young out. I'm sorry, especially this time of year.
I hate him. Have I said that yet?
No, you just did, but it's warranted. But he's like Steph Curry. You want to punch him in the nuts, but yet you have to respect the hell out of his ability. And that
Agreed.
makes so much worse.
It's like Brady. It's like Brady.
God, my favorite memory of him was him pissing and bitching and moaning that he cut his chin in that playoff loss to the Rams.
He probably did it shaving that little girl. Anyway, go on.
Using his wife's razor.
I'm swinging tonight, dude. I'm swinging tonight, dude.
We're talking a little bit of baseball tonight, so grip up, get your pine tar ready. And go George Brett.
Well, listen, the pine tar jokes I make now are about Garrett Cole and the fact that his ERA ballooned 2 points after he wasn't allowed to use it anymore.
You know what's funny is actually earlier this afternoon I was watching a video, one of those baseball compilation videos, and it was like they called it the worst injuries of 2022, and it like every other clip was somebody from the Mets getting plunked like hard, and then I realized, wait a minute, David Wright isn't a part of this franchise anymore. Why is he in this clip?
Well, he is. Well, now hold on. Now, first of all, let's go to this. David Wright will always be a part of the franchise. I don't know if you saw this, but they actually unveiled the Tom. Oh no, he's done.
Exactly.
But they unveiled the Tom Seaver statue yesterday, which brought a lot of joy to my heart because that was my favorite player. My father and I actually emulated him in our mechanics when we pitched, when we played. Did you know the New York Mets have been hit 12 times this year already and only hit 3 batters? These boys are going to throw hands. And my favorite part about it is the dude when Lindor got hit in the mouth, Buck Showalter was the first one out ready to fight.
Yeah, I saw that was in the clip, and I couldn't tell if it was this year or last year. And it's like, that was like one of those, especially with those new, I don't know, I can't remember. Are they like polymer helmets that they changed to this year?
I don't know what they changed the helmets to.
When that ball struck the helmet, it almost sounded like it had actually made contact with bone. But it's definitely supposed to reduce.
Well, he's got the thing over this part of his face.
Right.
Yeah, and he's got that thing over this part of his face too, which saved him from losing teeth as opposed to just having one cracked. Alonso got hit in the same series in the same spot. But he had the funniest line of the year so far. Did you see the Instagram post he put up? Did I share it to you?
I don't think I can't remember whether you did or not.
He put up a picture of his fat lip, and he says, "Women spending all this money on lip injections just get hit in the face at 97."
It's still one of the greatest, my favorite shirts. It's, give blood, play hockey. My hockey mom can beat up your soccer dad.
Yeah. Sticks and pucks may break my nuts. Yeah, I know that one too.
Oh, soccer! How you will never get over in this country the way
my hockey mom can beat up your mom. I love that.
So, for any of you watching, soccer is not a fucking sport. Mike, you still with me, buddy? I think you locked up.
You keep saying we have connection issues, and I'm at
there we
full
go.
bars.
I got you back. Yeah, I got you back now. The audio's coming back in, and there we go.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it is saying connection issues. I'm seeing here, but we can work around it.
We always do.
Yep.
We always do. So here's something I wanted to point out to you, sir, because of your geographic location. Do you know which team has scored the most runs in Major League Baseball the first week of the season?
The Cleveland Guardians.
Yes, they have, and I got to give a lot of props to Tom Hanks for bringing out Wilson to help throw out the first pitch. That was wonderful.
Very, very much so. Mr. Martinez, let me pose a question to you. How the fuck do you get Stephen Kwan out?
You play the Mets and you have to face Scherzer and DeGrom. That's about
it. You're such a goddamn homer.
Who cares? Who cares? My boys just smacked Philly around 2 out of 3, and and the Nationals can't.
That's always a good. Yeah, that's always a good thing. I'll give you guys props for that.
Look, Stephen Kwan is a beast.
If you've got Kwan hitting, the fact that he went what was it, 15 of 19 reaching base or something, didn't swing and miss at a pitch until his 4th game, and had 19.
And he travels with a base.
Yeah, it was 15. It was reaching base 15 times in 4 games with 19 total bases, which is a new major league record.
Listen, I said this. I did Willie's national. Look, and J Ram stayed.
Yeah, it's what's more surprising, what Kwan's doing, the fact that they're jumping out like this, or the fact that the Dolans actually opened the fucking checkbook for the first time since they own the franchise.
It's the fact that it's the fact that they opened the checkbook. But let me say this too. They also knew that they would have a fan coup d'etat on their hands if they did not re-sign Jose Ramirez. They're not stupid. They're assholes and they're cheap, but they're not stupid.
Manny Ramirez,
I see the Dolans and raise you the Wilpons.
Who else am I missing here?
Sabathia, Cliff Lee, let's go. Lindor, let's go.
Manram.
Yep.
Don't
forget not retaining. How about trading away Roberto Alomar? How about not retaining Omar Vizquel? Asdrubal Cabrera. The list goes on. The one thing that this franchise does know how to do, though, is breed pitching.
Yes. Even with Shane Bieber, his fastball right now, I mean, it's still from what I've actually been hearing and watching, it's still like going to cross the plate at any time now. Set your watch to it.
Has he lost that much velocity?
Since they have not had a full spring, he was throwing fastballs the other night at only 91.
What was his issue last year? Was it the shoulder?
It was the shoulder.
Yeah, you lose velocity when the shoulder starts to go.
Yeah, Tito even said.
But he's got such great secondary stuff. He can still be tough.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Hammy was actually the way that Hammy can paint a picture when you're listening on the radio, the way that he actually, it was like he was drawing Bieber, drawing the way that the corners were getting painted the other night. And then when he ran that no into the 6th, and then it all fell apart. Thank God they actually, know how to actually start winning and putting up these huge innings late in the game right now.
Yeah, they have been scoring late, and that's pretty big. I mean, when I did Willie's National Brothers Baseball show on opening day, because I was off getting ready for Bobby's birthday party, I actually picked them at first to be one of the wild card teams in the American League. And then I thought about it and said, the Seattle Mariners are going to be tough. So I'm kind of tossed up, but if they continue to play somewhat near this level, they're not going to score 12 runs a game the entire season. It's just not going to happen. The great offenses they had with Ramirez and Tomey and Lofton and Baerga and all those boys, they didn't score 12 runs a game. These guys certainly aren't. But if they can continue to get the big hit when they need it, and if they can continue to put teams away, they can make some noise. And everybody out there is going to forget about the asshole we're going to talk about in a minute.
Yeah. It's I brought this up on social media the other day, and a lot of people missed it. Could they possibly do what the Cavs did, where they're predicted to not contend at all and then sneak up on some people to where they could actually be like one of the toughest outs? They may not make the playoffs, but they damn sure ain't going to lose 90 games.
No, I don't think this team loses 90 games. I'll be honest with you, Jim, I think they're an 82 to 85 win team as currently constituted. You don't have the external questions now of the Jose Ramirez contract. You have him under contract for the next, 5 years?
Yes.
Bieber's only going to get stronger, and if he doesn't, he knows how to pitch. There is a difference between being a thrower and being a pitcher. Being a pitcher, you know weaknesses, you know location, you can throw any pitch at any time, and Shane Bieber proved that in 2020 when he won a Cy Young going away.
You know, now that you mention that, you know what it reminds me of, and this is going to be a very sore spot for you and I, the 96 Braves, where Bieber is very much like a Glavine or a Smoltz, but yet if he starts losing velocity, he can easily turn himself into a Greg Maddux the way that he can work around the plate.
Yes, and that is a sore spot because I wanted the Indians to win that 95 World Series too. But if you remember, one of the games they won, they beat Maddux. But the thing that gets me about Shane Bieber is he's never relied on having the extra 2 to 3 miles an hour that he doesn't seem to have right now. He's always been the guy to go in and get you out, how to get you out. He reads the scouting reports. He knows how to locate every pitch in his arsenal, and that's scary good.
Yes. What has been your
Can we please talk about the people on the lakefront now?
One more second. What has been I'm going to throw a couple of options your way. What has been your biggest surprise through the first week of the regular season right now? Has it been the Guardians? Has it been the fact that, and I did a piece on this the other day, the Colorado Rockies are hovering around first place right now with the oldest starting lineup in baseball right now, that they only have 2 guys who are going to be still under 30 by Labor Day? Has it been your Mets basically jumping that far out? Or has it been the fact that Vlad Guerrero Jr. is a monster among men and could probably hit 100 home runs this year if he wanted to? He hit 3 the other night after getting spiked.
Let me say, all of it surprises me, but here's I'm going to give you one of each everything. First of all, when Colorado signed Chris Bryant, everybody kind of went, "What are you doing?" They obviously had a plan. As far as the Guardians go, I did not see this offensive juggernaut they've been the first 10 days of the season. Haven't seen it. Did not see it coming, but I love seeing it. Vlad Guerrero Jr. Daddy's in the Hall of Fame. He may be better than Daddy.
Can you imagine?
Now let's talk about my Mets real quick.
Can you imagine? He's already got 5 home runs in the first week. Can you imagine how many more would be added onto that if they were still playing in Buffalo right now and they weren't playing in Skydome?
5 or 6.
Rogers Center?
5 or 6.
Yeah.
It's always going to be the Jake. It's very much still Shea Stadium, even though it's a new building, and it will always be Skydome.
As opposed to the G spot that people are calling it now.
There's so many jokes I could make. Especially with topic 2 of our show, which we are salivated to get to.
I cannot believe we went an entire Cavs conversation and I did not drop Romo Fijo. There we go. Got the Adam Cole shirt on. Got to go, baby.
Nice. And I have a shirt on for my final piece of the night. So, and of course, this is like my everyday hat, by the way. And also, my older boy and I are getting this tattooed on us.
Nice.
Right there. Let me talk about my New York Mets real quick and give you a number that will blow your mind when I give you the context. The New York Mets starting rotation with no Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer having the highest ERA on the team, their starter's ERA is 1.32 for the first 10 games. Or 9 games.
Christ, dude. Drop the
Chris
chalk
Bassett.
and stop outlining.
You ready for this? Cookie's gone 10 innings and given up 1 run.
Wait, Cookie's there? I forgot. I totally forgot Cookie went there.
Cookie's gone 10 innings, given up 1 run.
That's
Tyler
Carlos,
McGill, who came up last year and helped big.
For anyone unfamiliar, sorry, that's Carlos Carrasco. who was with the
Yeah.
the Indians/Guardians for his entire career up until recently.
He was in the Lindor trade. Tyler McGill, who came up last year as a replacement because of injury, had to start on opening day for Jacob deGrom. Yeah, he's gone 11 innings, hasn't given up a run yet. Chris Bassett, who was the second biggest pickup of the offseason, in my opinion, after Max Scherzer, has been lights out in his 2 starts. Scherzer has been off because of a leg injury. They're still 2-0 in his starts. David Peterson came in for Taijuan Walker the other night. He pitches again tomorrow. He went 5 innings of basically no-hit ball in Philadelphia.
Which, honestly, next to Coors Canaveral is probably the biggest launching pad in the National League.
Yeah, please say National League, because that ballpark in the Bronx is a Little League field, and I don't care what anybody says. You know, there's a TikTok account that actually follows home runs, and it tells you which parks it'd be out of. The ones that DJ LeMahieu and Stanton hit against the Red Sox last week, there's only one park it would have been out of.
Yellowstone?
No, Alonso hits him out of Yellowstone. So does Vladdy Jr. That ball, that 467, that ball was smoked. And I just got an update from MLB. Juan Soto just hit one into the Allegheny.
Sorry, that's not hard to do in that park. The difference.
He hit it over the bleachers into the Allegheny.
The difference between PNC and out in San Francisco, I almost call it Candlestick. It's like they haven't played a Candlestick
Oracle
in years. It's the difference.
I still call it Pac Bell.
Yeah. The difference is that it's like there's, the wall is not as high. The bleachers are not as high out in PNC. So it going into the Allegheny is not as big a deal as it is getting completely out into the bay.
Here's a trivia piece for you. The wall in right field in Pittsburgh is 21 feet high in honor of number 21, Roberto Clemente.
I was a diehard Pirates fan growing up,
Listen.
which was sacrilegious. I remember Bonilla, Van Slyke, Drabek, Bonds before his head got as big as our screen.
You know who my favorite player in that team was? It was Chico Lind.
If you would have said Sid Bream,
and
I would have cut you right out of the fucking stream.
Are we still bitter about 1993? Or 92?
In honor of Stone Cold Steve Austin stunning your boy McAfee at WrestleMania last week.
Hold on, that's what I was going to ask you. Wait, we got to go to that. Did you see McAfee laying on the ground still drinking beer?
That was I promised you I was not going to watch it. I had it in the background while I was doing laundry. I had to make sure I was back to watch that. That, I swear to God, if it had been on any later, I would have gotten a noise complaint from the neighbors. You've got to go on his YouTube channel. I think there's like a 10 or 15 minute clip of him talking about it. Okay, good.
I watched the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I mean, when he was the fact that Austin was laughing the entire time was just my
and Austin's 57.
That was wonderful.
Last thing before we get to the
what
topic,
though? Here we go again.
57 years old. Is there any better good story in all of baseball now than Albert Pujols coming home to my Cardinals?
Listen, when he was let go, when he wasn't re-signed by the Dodgers, you heard Alex and I and you actually talk about it, that I wanted him to go back to St. Louis. Then he goes up and hits a jack, and it's like his first at bat. Like, come on, dude. I know you were in California for years, but don't go Hollywood on us here.
And I'm sorry, that's still one of these. I think probably next summer I'm going to get out there finally. I'm going to catch a Blues and a Cardinals game in the same weekend. I kind of wish the NHL would like do what they did this year and then like start the season late, so this way they're playing into the end of April, as opposed to like ending the first week of April. I don't mind my playoffs going into the first week of July. But yeah, that's a very, I don't care who you are. That's a tough place to get a ball out, especially that distance.
Yeah, and listen, he was going to go down. It's going to be him. The conversation that we're going to have, the best right-handed hitter of the last 30 years. It's going to be three guys. It's going to be Trouty, it's going to be him, and it's going to be Cabrera. And that's where the conversation is going to end. It's those three guys, or it's nobody.
Yeah, very much so. It's I think he actually gets to 700. I don't think I'd love to see him get there. I'd even love to see him come back one more year just to chase, hit it, and leave, kind of go like Crash Davis, so to speak. Hit your dinger and hang it up.
Hit his dinger and walk off.
Yep. Minus Susan Sarandon, because he could definitely outkick his coverage a lot better than Crash Davis could. But
yeah.
Would you like to do the honors for our next segment, Michael?
Oh, I would like to do the honors for our next segment. So let's talk about the elephant in the room for all the hate in the world, and that is the Cleveland Browns are going absolutely fucking stupid. Now, let me clarify something. I have on-field issues with this move. I have severe on-field issues with this move. So you're the stat guy. I'm like the play-by-play guy when we do our show. Jim, I have numbers for you. This is how angry I am at this. And let me preface this by saying something. I am not one of the quote-unquote Baker bros, because I'll say this. Deshaun Watson, skill set-wise, is a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. Are we in agreement?
Yes, but I'm going to preface that with an asterisk. I think probably the most accurate thing that I heard coming out of in the owners' meetings not long last week, and somebody I think it was like one of those anonymous quotes they didn't put their name to. One of the owners said he's getting first-tier money for second-tier talent with third-tier decision-making, both on and off field.
I agree with that. But skill set wise, I think he's more athletic than Baker is. I think Baker's got a stronger arm. Their decision making, unfortunately, can be about the same. So here's my on field issues. Number one, this man has played 22 games outside of a retractable dome or a dome itself. He's 11-11. When you come to the AFC North, you play 11 games a year in the open air stadium. He was here a couple years ago before he quit on his team because he didn't get the contract he wanted and they traded away a wide receiver. How quickly we forget.
Right.
And he was absolutely putrid fucking garbage. He was terrible.
For those of you who've been living under
that was in October in the rain.
Here's what we're talking about.
Okay. And if they haven't been living under a rock, let's put them under one. Because here is the problem. What Houston received there, guys, that's what Sonny Weaver fucking draft day. That's the Kevin Costner.
So does this make Andrew Berry go from executive of the year to the pancake eating motherfucker now? For the way that he got fleeced, or does that basically make him like Jeff what's his nuts with Jacksonville, the rookie? And we're having a little bit of a connection issue with Mike. Give it 1 second. He'll be right back with us. Guys, we're running an experimental test stream tonight, as you could probably see up in the upper corner, called Restream. Still kind of working out the kinks here with this. There are going to be some issues, and Mike and I are going to definitely, try and actually get everything, fixed and everything going forward here with this. Let's actually even just kind of take the background off and see if this will help Mike for a little bit. And I think Mike completely dropped out. What we're going to do, everyone, here is we're going to take a 2-minute break, something we've never actually done here on the Wise Guys Show. So we will be right back with you.
I see you.
Welcome back, everyone. Again, actually, you've seen history. That was the first actual break in the action in the history of the Wise Guys Sports Show.
Yeah, we never shut up. So, where did you lose me?
I think the last thing that I remember is I asked you, does that make Andrew Berry the pancake eating motherfucker, or does that basically make him the guy from the kid from Jacksonville, the rookie who got fleeced?
Can he be both?
In this case, I'm going to say no, just because of the fact that we're taking all gloves off and we're not actually towing any lines tonight.
Well, he's the dumb bastard in Jacksonville. So let me go back to what I was saying before I made the Sonny Weaver comment. 11-11 in 22 games in outdoor stadiums. Someone brought up, oh, well, he won 2 games in Philly and New York in November. Guys, it was 51 degrees both days, unseasonably warm. I've lived 2 places in my life. I've lived upstate New York. I've lived Northeast Ohio. Has this man ever seen a fucking snowflake before? Does he know what it looks like when it's not cut out of paper?
You'd probably have to think late in the season with the way that they schedule for the Texans, because it damn sure wouldn't be the playoffs.
Oh, I got one better than that. So you traded away the next so many years of your first round. You handed 2, and my issue with this isn't that Baker was taken away. My issue with this is that they made this move and they guaranteed $230 million to a guy who's only played 1 more playoff game than the guy they got rid of. 2, he quit on a team. He quit on the Texans. There's no way around it, Jim. He quit on them.
You're bringing the stats tonight. I'm going to bring the numbers. Look at that.
Well, I got one. Never mind that. Never mind the cap hits. I'm not worried about the cap hits.
Not only do the Browns not have a future in the draft, they don't have any cap room to do any fucking thing about it anyway.
And here's the other problem with this that I have. Besides the fact this has Jimmy Haslam written all over it.
Oh, yeah. Because of one other guy who plays the same position.
Well, here's the other thing. And I love them because I have loved them since Bernie Kosar was there. I started coming out to Cleveland in the late 80s, every Thanksgiving, and all you heard on the radio was, here we go, Brownies, here we go. And I buy it. I root for this team every Sunday. I still root for the name on the front of the jersey. But here is what Deshaun Watson has done. Let's start here. His base salary this year is $1 million for a reason.
Right.
Do we know what that reason is? Oh, I know. He's going to get suspended. So here's the nightmare scenario. You ready for the nightmare scenario, James? This is every Browns fan's nightmare scenario. Roger Goodell decides, you know what? He's going on the exempt list for this season. And he's gone. And the Cleveland Browns go into 2022 with Josh Dobbs and Jacoby Brissett. And possibly he ought to stay home, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, that's the hilarity of it, is that they are still $19 million under the cap because he's technically on the roster right now.
Now let me get to the nightmare scenario. They release Baker Mayfield. He signs in Pittsburgh. This season, with no Deshaun Watson because he's on the commissioner's list, Baker takes the Pittsburgh Steelers to an AFC North championship and wins and gets to the AFC championship game. Then, oh, by the way, Watson's still going to be suspended some point in time next year.
Yeah, in a perfect world, that would be the scenario. But let's be honest. The Pittsburgh Steelers offense is in no way, shape, or form anywhere close to what the Seattle's offense was during the Legion of Boom days. Their offense, even with Baker Mayfield, is not winning a fucking divisional title when they still have Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson ahead of them.
Listen, I'm talking nightmare scenario. I'm not talking things that can actually fucking happen.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare.
Every Browns fan's greatest nightmare is what I'm – because, by the way, that means you're paying him $46 million next year to be suspended for the first 6 games. And then you've got 2.5 years of rust to kick off. So year 2 of the contract is null and void. The son of a bitch quit on his team after 3 years. You don't think he'll do that when he don't like where he lives? Let's cut this out. He didn't come to Cleveland for roster. He didn't come for coaching. He came because Jimmy Haslam handed him $230 fucking million. Now, I told you I'm going to be on a roll. You ever see me like this? Oh, yes, you have seen me like this. It was the day you told me that the Knicks traded Patrick Ewing, and I went John Gotti on him and said they're dead to me.
We both said when what did I tell you? What was it, last night or Thursday? I said prepare to actually have a rant going because both of us are going to have one here about this topic.
And again,
matter of fact, I'm giving you the floor. Go for it.
And again, I understand what Andrew Berry's trying to do, but what you have set this franchise up for is failure. You have set this franchise up to be a Super Bowl or bust every single year. And you don't have all the horses because now with your salary cap implications, your shutdown corner is gone. Can't pay Denzel Ward. You can't. You're going to ride with Greedy Williams? Greedy has been able to stay in the field. Newsom was phenomenal. I love him. The kid from Northwestern. I love him. He's not a number 1 yet. Grant Delpit's been iffy because of injury. JOK's a monster. You're going to have to pay him. You're going to have to pay Miles again. Because if you handed Deshaun $230, the guy who's been carrying the freight this entire time needs to get paid. They have set this franchise up for failure. And then when he quits on them in 3 years because it doesn't go the way he wants it to, who's taking that contract, Jim?
There's got to be some dummy out there willing to do it. Maybe by then Jerry Jones will actually have a couple of nickels to rub together.
No, because Dak Prescott's making more money. This is the ridiculousness this has gone to. I hate the NFL. I hate it. It has monopolized my brain and it's baseball season because I cannot fathom the stupidity that is just happening. And let's go here. Browns fans now no longer have the moral high ground against the Steelers. We can never say the word Raplesberger ever again. Because Bill fucking Cosby is the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns.
I'm not going to do the impression tonight.
Listen, 230 is going to buy a lot of pudding pops, but this is ridiculous. So 11-11 in open air stadiums. He won one playoff game. Oh, by the way, people talk about this is the best roster Deshaun Watson's ever had. The roster that won that playoff game had 6 Pro Bowlers and 2 first-team All-Pros on it. Don't come at me with that because Baker never had that. And how can you argue they didn't do him dirty? They set him up to fail. But I find it funny that all of a sudden it's been leaked that he turned down $30 million before last season.
Watson or Baker?
Baker. I find it funny it didn't come out until after the podcast when he was basically like, have you heard that, by the way? Baker's interview?
Most of it, yes.
I found it pretty tame, and he just kind of told everybody what we already knew. We already knew that they said in the press that Baker was the guy.
Yeah, and I'm not going to comment too much on this because I know you're still going with yours. When I actually go into my rant here in a minute, I don't want to actually, steal too much thunder here, but keep going. It's the floor is yours.
The last thing I want to hit on with this is very simple. Homeboy is bringing more baggage than a bellhop in New York City during Fashion Week. This is bad. If this blows up in their face, Chubb's going to leave. J.C. Tretter's already gone, so your offensive line is taking a hit, and you don't have enough draft capital to go out and get somebody to be a center. I do like the sign of the guy from Seattle. What's Cooper got 2 years left? This season and the one after?
I want to say so, but the problem, I don't want to look it up for fear of a connection cutting out, but didn't he just restructure that partially too?
I'm looking at it on my phone. I turned off the Wi-Fi on my phone.
Because I know he's owed 20. He was originally owed 20 when that deal was made. And I think he restructured down to 16. Like that $4 million is really going to make that much of a difference.
Actually, he restructured down to 1.12. But he's a $20 million dead cap hit. They deferred money on Amari Cooper to bring in Deshaun Watson. But you're going to have to pay him too. And you don't have the draft capital to go out and get a number one. So my issue, listen, the issues off the field are what the issues are off the field. I'm not going to get into that. I wasn't there. I don't know all the information. I'm not going to comment. Do I make my Bill Cosby jokes? Yes, I do. It's too easy. But at the same time, there are legitimate on-field questions that this move has made, and no one in the media is asking them. They are more worried about ESPN being Twitter TV, and NFL Network just wants to talk about how bad Baker was last season. But I had a plan for the Browns. I want you to go on your rant, then I want to give you my plan, what they should have done.
Let me pitch an idea to everyone. What I'd like you to do is that I'd like you all to quit your jobs right now. I'd like you to go get hired in another position in your field. I'd like you to actually have 4 bosses in 5 years. One of them doesn't even know you exist. The first boss that you work for. He refuses to acknowledge you. He refuses to send any new work your way. And he basically is just there. The next guy that comes along gives you the break that you're looking for. But he's only around for a year.
Because he's inept.
And then the guy who comes after him regresses you back to basically making you think that you're back in high school. The guy that comes after him, though, that's the one that makes the difference. That's the guy who basically you achieve your greatest success with. And yeah, the second year doesn't work out as well, but you still are productive. But yet, when it comes time for your annual performance review or when they review you to be able to give you your Christmas or holiday bonuses, they're going to tell you that, yeah, you're going to get this bonus and we're going to commit to you for another year and things are going to get bigger and better. 2 weeks later, after the first of the year actually comes about, they publicly go out and tell you that they're trying to court your replacement, pay him twice as much as what you are. And the guy may actually be, and there's a possibility that the guy they're bringing in could have legal ramifications to where he might be locked up in court for most of the year. Does this make any fucking sense at all to anybody? I am not a Baker apologist. I am a Baker fan. I am a realist. Baker Mayfield is a gunslinger. Baker Mayfield does best when the pocket is moving and he is on the run and he can roll out. Baker Mayfield, with one arm, one leg, and a whole host of other nagging injuries last year, had the Browns in the playoff hunt until the second last game of the season. Yes, Mike.
Baker Mayfield had them in the playoff hunt with bottom third of the league quarterback play. But if his defense would have made 3 stops over the course of the season, they win the division and host a playoff game. But go on.
Baker Mayfield, actually, if his franchise had been helped out by officiating not blowing 2 blatant pass interference calls with under 2 minutes to go, would have actually ended up, instead of 8-9, would have been 10-7 and would have been in the playoffs. They would have been maybe a 5. They would have been the 6 or 7 seed, but still, they would have been in the playoffs. So now you've got Baker Mayfield on the roster at a $19 million cap hit. You can't trade him. If you cut him, you're going to have to eat the entire salary. So it's $19 million in dead cap money. And you go out and you sign a guy who hasn't played in a year, has 22 civil lawsuits hanging over him that, by the way, his agent and his attorney are trying to get pushed to 2023 so he can play this year. Keep in mind that Deshaun Cosby, with his skill set, is going to probably end up making himself the number 2 running back option in the best backfield in the NFL. Which means Kareem Hunt, Dearness Johnson, Nick Chubb,
Demetric Felton.
One of those guys are probably not going to be on the roster by the end of the season, or traded, or possibly not even be on the roster by the time training camp comes around, depending on what happens with OTAs in the draft. Which, by the way, the Cleveland Browns do not have a first-round pick the next 3 years. We're going to be covering that here in just a moment. In what world does this trade make sense? In what world does this actually mean? Is Kevin Stefanski going to be able to game plan an offense like this when he has made a career and landed a head coaching gig out of having Kirk Cousins and the ability to maintain a pocket make any sense when his quarterback is going to be rushing for 60 to 70 yards per game? The only reason I still have my Paramount Plus subscription right now is so I can actually watch NCIS Bowl and the FBI series. I'm honestly thinking of canceling it during the football season. Much like the only reason I still have my Peacock subscription is damn sure not because of the WWE. It's because I actually can get Sunday Night Football, IndyCar, and Formula One. And the great thing about Formula One is I can actually watch that at 8 o'clock in the morning because it's all overseas. There's no getting away from watching Deshaun Watson fuck up the franchise that I grew up with on Sunday, because even if I'm not watching the game, I'm watching the game. It's going to be on Facebook. It's going to be on Twitter. I'm going to go back to how I was, and Michael will remember this. When the Browns left in 1995, I followed the lineage of the franchise. I followed the location of the franchise. My Cleveland Browns have 2 Super Bowls and play in Maryland. The team that is playing here now, I was not a fan of until Randy Lerner sold the franchise to Jimmy Haslam. And why I did that, I am completely and totally rethinking that decision at this point.
It's because you love Johnny Manziel.
I'm going to let that slide.
I'm sorry.
Dick. Thank God I'm a member of the Bills Mafia. I'm trying to think how many tables I can actually set up in the apartment, or can I rent the place upstairs? Or can I rent the place two floors up so I can annoy the fuck out of the people that actually keep me up until 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning every fucking night.
So you're a wonderful human being. You know that? So here was my plan. See if you like this. Baker plays this season. You don't make the deal. You go get a wide receiver at 13, preferably one of the Ohio State kids. But that's because I'm a homer. See? So Baker plays. Now, if you get 2020 Baker, 3,500, 28-6, you're an 11 or 12 win team.
Uh-huh.
You're a playoff team, possibly a division winner, possibly the first home playoff game for the Cleveland Browns since, I don't know, Bill Belichick was their head coach?
94 against New England, yep.
Bill Belichick was their head coach, and Vinny Testaverde was their quarterback. Then you sit Baker down, and you go, listen, we want you to be here for another 5 years, but we want to build a team around you. You know, your idol Tom Brady took less every year to build a Super Bowl winner around him, and he's got 6, 7 rings. So here's your deal. 5 years, an average annual value of $23.5 million, with a $23 million signing bonus payable over time. Progressive's going to pay you. Hulu's going to pay you. You don't lack for money. But you will free up enough cap space so we can keep Amari Cooper. We can keep the stud wide receiver we draft. We can keep the defense intact. And if we get it done, you will be a god in the city of Cleveland.
And for the record, you actually wouldn't have had to cut Jarvis Landry, who was the catalyst of this whole rebirth to begin with.
I agree. So
who wants to be here. And that's the thing that people are forgetting with this whole fucking charade.
And JC Tretter.
Yes.
So Baker is not a stupid person. Baker would have taken that deal with that explanation and ran with it. So let's say Baker plays. You draft the wide receiver at 13, and he has a subpar year. You have your draft capital to go out and get the kid playing down 71 right now.
You know how I feel about that, but yeah, so I'm gonna hear you out. I'm not going to talk because of what's coming up in a couple of minutes. I will not talk bad about an Ohio State quarterback.
And he actually wore an actual Dwayne Haskins jersey today during the spring game. So you use your draft capital and you go out and you get CJ Stroud, who, with another year of seasoning under Ryan Day and being put in the right situation, which I think with Stefanski, a quarterback like that, who doesn't want to run the football, who wants to sit back there and pick people apart, who likes to hand the ball off, And there's your cap issue there too, because you don't pay him as much as you pay a veteran. They had an out to let him play this year, keep smelling like a rose as the Cleveland Browns have been for the last couple of years, and still have a way to find that franchise quarterback if Baker proved he wasn't it this year. I think he was going to prove it. But that's just me. Now, from a football standpoint, granted, I know you don't like the guys down in Columbus. Not a bad plan, is it?
Not at all, because of any of the Buckeye quarterbacks over the last really 10, 12 years, I've got more confidence that Stroud is actually going to make it at the next level because he does not have that run first mentality like Barrett, Pryor. I'm sorry to say it, Haskins.
Braxton Miller. Well, Haskins didn't want to run, but you got to remember when he was drafted, the quarterback coach didn't want him, the offensive coordinator didn't want him, and Jay Gruden didn't want him. He was drafted because he was a big player from Maryland, and Dan Snyder wanted him.
And don't discuss any more of that because that's going to be for you here in a couple of minutes.
Yeah. So yeah, and I see what you're saying, and I agree with you. I think Stroud's got the best pedigree to be the guy for an NFL franchise. So as I'm thinking about this, I'm like, if you're going to throw 3 first-round picks away, why not throw 3 first-round picks away and get a guy you can control for 5 years without having to mortgage the future of the franchise and mortgage the salary cap, and let Baker play this year like you said you were going to anyway.
Yeah, and that's the people keep bringing this up, and people brought this up originally. Watson says he's not. He eliminates the Browns, and then they actually said that they're guaranteeing that money. A couple of weeks earlier, the Browns picked up Baker Mayfield's option and actually, when it came out publicly and said that we're committing to him as our starter for 2022.
They picked up his option after last season, after 2 seasons ago when he took them within an eyelash of the AFC Championship game. Right. But yes, then Andrew Berry came out and committed to Baker for 2022. Did he tell Baker's camp we're going to look to upgrade and if quarterback's a possibility? Yes. I believe that to the letter. The problem is the guy told you he was out until you guaranteed him the highest contract in NFL history. He's not here to play football. He's here to cash a check.
How bad is that contract? And I'm going to throw that graphic back up here for a second. Let me put it to you here in a little bit of perspective. And this is the breakdown of the contract with dead cap and everything that's owed. There are 4 teams in Major League Baseball.
You're gone again. And if you can still hear me, I know what you were going to say. There are teams in Major League Baseball whose payroll is not nearly this high for his single season of pay. It's ridiculous.
Right now, whose entire team.
So we lost Jim again. There he is.
There we go. It's that I don't think was the graphic. It's like about a week ago, my internet modem took a shit with Spectrum, and because of the fact that, well, here's the thing is that they upgraded their service to where now you don't have a 2-in-1 modem / router. They have to give you 2 separate devices now.
Yeah, I have it here.
Yeah, so there's I actually was playing video games this morning and perfect internet connection, just all of a sudden the server just cuts out twice.
Yeah, I have an extender for that very reason.
Yeah, I'm about ready. I'm thinking because I really did. They said, well, you can go out and buy your own. It's like, I'm not spending $150 considering it's going to take 5 fucking years to pay it off. With the fact that you're only charging me $5 a month for the equipment.
Exactly. So I'd like to say I think we've beaten that subject to death. or at least put a roofie in its drink.
You rotten son of a bitch. Oh my.
And this is mostly self-preservation because I have to get up early to hide eggs in the morning. I'm going to hell.
Let's finish up here. Mike, I'm going to give you the floor here for a couple of minutes.
Okay. I will say this: we're going to do one the beginning of May. If I wrap up the draft, and let's get into the other topics we were going to talk about then. But I want to go into why I'm wearing the sweatshirt I am tonight. As I pulled up to my son's birthday party last Saturday, I got the text that the world had lost Dwayne Haskins. For those of you who only knew him from the NFL, Dwayne was a Ohio State quarterback. He had maybe the greatest season in Big Ten history in 2018. 50 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, almost 5,000 yards passing. But my favorite stat from that year, besides the 60 bomb he laid on Michigan, and the Big Ten championship, which I have the sweatshirt on and I've got the hat on my door. But my favorite stat from that year wasn't his touchdown interception ratio, which was insanity. It wasn't that he won a Rose Bowl. It was that Dwayne Haskins played 7 of the top 30 defenses in college football that year. He won all 7 games, and he only turned the ball over twice in those 7 games. The 2 guys who finished ahead of him in the Heisman Trophy combined played 3 teams in the top 30 in defense, and their numbers went to the crapper when they played against him. Against those defenses, we're talking Michigan, who was number 1 at the time, Michigan State, Penn State. They went down to TCU and played down there. Northwestern and Washington 6th, and Washington in the Rose Bowl. He threw something like 19 touchdowns and only threw 1 interception, and that was questionable because the guy ran the wrong route. He burst onto the scene in the big game the year before, throwing an absolute dime to Austin Mack up in the big house. He brought an Ohio State team down 2 scores back to win that by 2 scores. He was a young father. He was a young husband. He was drafted into a situation that even Baker Mayfield wouldn't have wanted to go into, and he had 4 head coaches in 3 seasons. He was not wanted by the coaching staff. He was not wanted by anyone in the building except the owner. They threw him a bone and drafted him Terry McLaurin, but that Washington team was terrible. He had no business being on it. He found a rebirth in Pittsburgh. I honestly think he would have beaten Mason Rudolph and Mitchell Trubisky out for the job this year, and we would have seen greatness from him on the field. I am not throwing hyperbole out there when I say Dwayne Haskins might have been the best quarterback Ohio State has seen in the last 40 years. Just from sheer pocket presence, from sheer arm strength. And I'm saying these things because I was in the shoe against Tulane, Urban Meyer's first game back after the suspension because of the Zach Smith debacle. I watched him play live. He threw a pretty ball, but apparently was just as good a human being, and the world has lost a good person way too soon, especially with the scumbag in Cleveland now.
The other thing that people also don't know about Dwayne Haskins is that normally when you get a top-tier athlete in college, they will major in something that they really have no intention of going into after they graduate or turn pro, if they're lucky enough to do so. Dwayne Haskins majored in journalism at The Ohio State University, which is one of the best journalism schools in the country.
Here's another one for you.
Haskins probably would have made a very, very good announcer or whatnot. Had his career not panned out in the NFL, he could have easily been much like how Tim Couch was and how well-spoken Tim Couch is as an ESPN analyst. Dwayne Haskins had himself set up for life after football, and that's what makes this all the more tragic.
And there's another one too with the Ohio State connection. He went to a camp there at 11 years old, and there is a video. It's been on the internet, and he looked. He had his number 7 Ohio State jersey on, Haskins Jr. on the back of it. And they said, "Dwayne, what do you think of this place?" And he said, "I'm gonna go to school here." You own the record for touchdowns in the Big Ten in a single season. You own a Big Ten championship. You won the granddaddy of them all. You sent Urban Meyer out a winner, and you made Ryan Day into maybe the most sought after, one of the better quarterback coaches in the country because you went there because of him. He's going to be missed. I honestly thought he would be the best one of the bunch, Fields included, in the NFL. But I'm going to turn the floor over to you now, sir, because you've got one just as tough as I did.
Yes, and allow me to grab.
Are you going to do something? I knew you were going to do this.
Mike, have a stroll down memory lane, buddy.
Oh, the Islanders fisherman's jersey.
Yes,
sweater. I'm sorry, sweater.
No, I call it a jersey.
Whatever.
Less than 36 hours ago, I lost he was one of my favorites growing up, which is tough to say because I didn't start watching the NHL or really get fully fledged into it until I was late into elementary school or middle school or high school. Mike remembers I was wearing this jersey at least once a week. And the reason why I still have this jersey and not the St. Louis Blues Gretzky era jersey, but the slash marks up the front of it, is also this franchise won their first Stanley Cup on my second birthday, May 24th, 1980. The reason for that was Mike Bossy. The reason why this graphic is so much longer than Dwayne Haskins is definitely not trying to show out or show up Dwayne Haskins.
Not at all.
This is just how great Mike Bossy was. He only played 10 years in the NHL, won 4 Stanley Cups. That 1983 team, I still say, is the greatest hockey team, professional hockey team ever assembled. Better than Gretzky and any of his Oilers teams that supplanted the Islander dynasty that you see on the screen. Better than any of the classic Canadian teams from back in the 50s and 60s. 5 of the 6 players on that starting rotation the top 2 lines, and the goaltender and the head coach, that would be Denny Potvin, Mike Bossy, Brian Trottier, Billy Smith, Clark Gillies, and also if you add in head coach Al Arbor, are all in the Hockey Hall of Fame. There's no other team that can really say that. If you even go a step further, you add in Mr. Islander Bobby Nystrom, John Tonelli, and Butch Goring as the only other numbers that the New York Islanders have ever retired. As you can see, the Islanders retired Bossy's number 22 in 1992, a year after he was named to the Hockey Hall of Fame in his first year of eligibility. You might think that most consecutive 50-goal seasons of 9, you're thinking, well, what about Gretzky? Gretzky has 9 50-goal seasons, but they're not consecutive. Bossy did. Bossy was the fastest player in NHL history to score 50 goals in 50 games when he did it, I want to say, in the 1981 season. He's the only player in National Hockey League history to score all 4 game-winning goals in a 7-game playoff series. Name anybody else who's ever done that. 7-time All-Star, 1982 Conn Smythe, one of the Islanders' core of 4 legends, still to this day on the NHL's 100 greatest players list. The even more surprising thing, or that people always forget about those 4 consecutive Stanley Cup titles, is a record. The Islanders hold a record that the NHL and sports in general will never see eclipsed. During that period, the Islanders won 19 consecutive playoff series. That means 4 consecutive championships in a 16-team playoff and losing in the finals, going for number 5. Baseball will never see that. Football, you'd actually, with the way that the playoff format is set up right now, you would have to win 4 consecutive Super Bowls to even sniff that. Basketball sure will never see that. Mike Bossy, still to this day, with those, let me put the graphic back up here for one quick moment. 573 goals in only 752 games. That's over his 1,126 points. That's over that's 1.25 points plus per game. The only other player to score that many goals, to score over 500 goals, which is basically guaranteed for the Hockey Hall of Fame in under 1,000 games. Mike, can you take a guess?
500 that many goals in under 1,000 games?
500 goals in under 1,000 games. There's only one other player who's done it.
I mean, Gretzky pops into my head, but I'm going to say Gordie Howe.
Mario.
Really?
Mario.
Oh, because he missed the time because of being sick.
Because of Hodgkins. Yep. Mario did it in about 950. And because of injuries that cut Bossy's career short, if you think if he gets 45 to 50 goals a year and plays another 6 years, he's in the conversation of chasing down Gretzky, as opposed to Alex Ovechkin right now, who's probably going to end up catching him in the next 2 years.
It would have been Gretzky catching Bossy then, because of when they started playing.
Right. So Mike Bossy, a very, very key component of my childhood, even though my all-time favorite NHL player, Mike, you'll appreciate this as well, Patty LaFontaine. Still to this day, my favorite call is when he was with the Sabres, and and we all know that Rick Jeanneret, their legendary announcer, is retiring on the 29th after 51 seasons in the booth. But who can ever forget Jeanneret going la 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 Fontaine, or my personal favorite, "'Tis the season, fa la 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 Fontaine." I still do that every year around the holidays. But Mike Bossy, the greatest Islander who ever lived, you can't even put it in the discussion. Ranger fans hate him, Flyer fans hate him, but what a classy human being, gone way too soon at the age of 65 yesterday. God rest your soul, Mike Bossy.
Very well done, sir.
I'm even getting a little emotional thinking about it now.
Yeah, Haskins hit me in the feels. It really did. So what do you say we wrap this sucker up with a preview of what we're going to do in a couple weeks?
You actually haven't even given me an idea, so I'm actually
That's why I'm smiling like this.
I'm gonna let you have the floor, buddy. Let's do it. Let's put a book, because you know it's not that my closings are good. It's just yours are vastly superior to mine.
In a couple weeks, we're going to go back to the clean side of the world. We're going to do it on the Big Rican channel, but we're going to have a full breakdown of what the Browns do in the draft, and then we're going to work on picks that we didn't see coming and what we like the most. And we're also going to we are going to talk about the elephant in the basketball room in the city of Cleveland, and I want to go in depth on it. So start getting your numbers together there, JC Blue Note. I want to talk about the possible return of the King, because after the way the Lakers season ended and the fact that the Cavs went to the playoffs, it will probably happen sooner rather than later, whether we like it or not. So, as they said in the second Rocky movie, get your popcorn ready because it's about to be World War III.
Just as long as it's not Terrell Owens bringing it. Bastard. Piece of shit.
Hold on. That and the standing on the star, whether you like the guy or not, maybe two of the best things I've ever seen in a football field.
No, personally, it was better when George Teague laid him the fuck out afterwards.
So it's past my bedtime, JC.
I got a Hallmark movie and God knows whatever else to watch on TV right now as well.
Bobby's still awake. I got to go put him down. Just so you guys know out there, as always, I'm going to have a Mets show coming up probably next weekend, but we're going to push. Let's push back to the beginning of May for Wise Guys. That way we can do. Oh no, dude! Next Saturday we have the football roundtable.
Yeah, I'm glad that you actually brought this up because there was no way in hell that Alex, you, Willie, and myself were going to be able to do another draft show after the chaos that happened 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, so we're going to have a football roundtable. It may not be next week. We may actually, you know what? I'll get back to you during the week because we may do Wise Guys Part 2 next week and then do the football roundtable after that so that we can have the draft. We can hopefully see where Baker's going to end up. And there's going to be a lot more content coming because we got a full 162. We got NBA offseason and playoffs coming, and we got NFL training camps and OTAs about to start. It's going to get fun, and we're just around the corner from something I am going to start working on in the next week, which is the Big Rican College Spectacular, where I will preview all 5 power conferences and who I did this the first year, who I think are going to win the conference, who will play in the conference championship game, each a sleeper player for each conference, and an MVP for each conference. My only claim to fame my first year I did this, I got 4 out of 5 right.
Nice.
And I did it the week before the season started. Of course, in the Big Ten, it was easy.
Just when I think you couldn't be any worse with as much of a Mets homer as you are, that you go and try, you're wearing the fucking colors on your head and on your chest. Could you be any worse? Then again, what am I saying? I'm running a Cleveland sports show, even though it's my guy. Notice the colors?
Hold on. That would be the 2021 Sugar Bowl championship shirt on underneath. And oh, by the way, they're Mets shorts.
You're terrible. You're absolutely terrible.
So I'm going to sign off and relieve Mama. This was fun. We got to do this once a month where we can just go off.
Yeah, it's hopefully by then we actually have we have a little bit more handle with the with the control and the connection issues. Probably won't put the graphics up as long or kind of reconfigure them a little bit. But it was actually kind of cool here, kind of taking the reins a little bit. I'm not actually trying to step on your toes, but it was actually fun. It was Mike, I gotta say, for as much as you see me edit my blog and everything, doing the production was a lot of fun with this, just putting the graphics together and the overlays and all that. It's if you actually want to if you're looking into maybe kind of switching, I would be more than happy to show you the overlay of the service that I'm using tonight.
Sounds like a plan, man.
Although there is talk, and I know I'm going to let you go here on this, that YouTube is actually changing something here in the next couple of weeks where you're going to be able to just like go live on YouTube and bring in a guest. But I don't know if there's going to be the production value like you're getting here. Yeah,
but you know what? With the content we do, production value isn't a big thing.
Right.
So we can come back to that. But I am going to fly because I am tired. But thank you for hosting this week. Thank you for the great Mike Bossy tribute. And thank you for letting me have my moment about Dwayne Haskins, who will sorely be missed.
Absolutely. Mike, 30 seconds here. Plug whatever you got to, and then go to bed.
Big Rican can be found on Facebook, Twitter at Big Rican on Sport, YouTube, Big Rican on Sports, Google, Anchor, Breaker, now on Stitcher, Rocket Cast, Radio Public, and don't forget, Ask Alexa, play Big Rican. Jim, as always, it's fun. And I'm going to bed, dude.
You got it. As always, you can actually find me at JC Blue Note 24. The blog will actually be linked below here. And Mike, we will actually get together next month. You, the missus, the kids, have a great holiday tomorrow. I know
you too, man.
I know Bobby's going to be looking forward to his first Easter that he'll actually be cognizant enough to probably remember and go nuts with. But everyone, healthy, happy, and everything. And how nice is it actually that we're doing these and now the weather is starting to get warm outside again?
It's baseball season.
Much love, much thanks, my friend. Everybody have yourselves a great night. Have a safe and happy Easter. For those of you also celebrating by the time we see you again in probably early May for the wise guys, have a great and safe and happy Passover. And we will actually take care. We will see you guys in May. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.